Well. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. My name is Oliver Blue, and I am here with you as your temporary guide today as we journey up another rung of this invisible ladder. And this next rung we called Lesson 109. And today we declare that today is a day of rest. Today we rest in God. This is our lesson for today. This is the idea that we're going to explore today, that I rest in God, or I rest in love. Or we can say it this way, I rest in reality. Or I rest in oneness. The whole idea is that I rest. Rest means what? We cease. We cease from our what? We cease from our own works. We cease from our own efforts. And we stand in a place of complete surrender. Complete surrender. Today is a day of rest. And to rest is to surrender everything else but the rest that we enter into. So I'm delighted to be with you this morning. It is a beautiful, beautiful spring day, the last day of April in 2022. But it's the first day of resting in God. And so come along with me today as we unpack this lesson and see how this elevates us to another level of awareness, a level of awakened consciousness. This lesson is being provided by Truly Foundation, your nonprofit organization that is dedicated and devoted completely to the sharing of advanced spirituality. Today we share rest. Today we share the rest with not only ourselves, but we bring all humanity into this place of rest through the one mind that we share, through the one self that we share. We call all humanity to enter into this rest. There's a verse of scripture in Hebrews that I just love that has to do with rest. In Hebrews 4:9-10, it says, there remaineth therefore a rest to the people of God. This is not to some special group, but the people of God is all inclusive, because God has reconciled all back into himself through Christ. There is no longer this and that, up and down, in and out. There is no longer specialness. There's only oneness. And so God has what? Reconciled everything back into the one thing. And so he said, there remains a rest for that which has been reconciled. He said, for he that is entered into his rest, he also has ceased from his own works. So to enter into rest is to cease from working, to cease from our own works. as God from his. So in the creation story, God what created heavens and earth in 6 days, and on the seventh day he what rest. And no place else we see in the creation story that God what started his work back up again, because his work was finished before the foundation of the world. His work was finished. So the rest that we are being asked to what enter into is a finished work. It's a completed work already. And so as God ceased from his work, he invites us to what enter into the finished work by entering into what? Entering into this rest. And what does that look like in 2022 for you and me? What does the rest of God looks like? And today we're going to talk about that. That the rest, that when we rest in God, it is the answer to everything. When we enter into the finished works of God, we cease from our own works. And so as we get through this lesson today, we're gonna share some other scriptural references to this idea of entering into God's rest. There's one in Matthew 11:28 that says, "Come unto me. Come unto me, all ye that labor." See, still working your own. We're still working out our own plans, our own ideas. We're working in a manner of separation and not as oneness. He says, "Come to me, which you labor and are heavy laden, are burdened." You know, in life we get heavy laden, and we get burdened down with what? All of the demands of life. We get burdened down with the fast pace of life. We get burdened down with the responsibilities of life. We get burdened down with all of the pulls and all of the offerings that life presents to us. We get burdened down with a way of thinking that is not in alignment with the thoughts of God. He says, "Come to me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." So this is a promise of God. I will give you, or I have already given you rest. And so today is a day that we declare a day of rest in God. Come and go with me on this journey of rest. So the lesson starts out by saying, we ask for rest today. Ask, and it shall be given. Seek, and ye shall find. Knock, and it what shall be opened unto you. So we ask for rest today and quietness. Quietness means what? We ask not to be disturbed. And so it says that we ask for rest and quietness, unshaken by the world's appearances. So the world's appearances are not just going to go away, but in the midst of the world's appearances, we ask for rest and for quietness in the midst of the world's appearances. We ask for peace and stillness. So within rest, there's quietness, there's peace, and there's stillness. In the midst of all the turmoil born of what? Clashing dreams. What do we mean here when you say clashing dreams? In the world of separation, is it the world of dreams where we dream of being separate from our Creator? And within this world, we see the clashing. We see the clashes that take place. We see the indifferences. We see the conflicts. We see the division and the strife in the world and in the world systems in all kind of different forms. We see it. We hear about it. I mean, you can't turn the TV on and not hear about some clash between some group or some individuals or some idea or some, it's always a what? It's always a fight. It's kill or be killed. That's the ego's instruction to the world. That is the way of the world. Take and take more. Yeah, eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. These are all what? Clashing dreams. This is what? Turmoil. And it says, we ask for safety and for happiness. So within this rest today, there is a place of quietness, peace, stillness, safety, and happiness that we're bringing our mind that experiences the dream. Because in our true self, guess what? We're protected from all these things. In our reality, there's nothing but rest and quietness and peace and stillness and happiness and safety. So if we're asking for this, we're asking for this mind that we are transforming to enter into the rest. Because who we really are, we have never left the rest. We have never left the nest in our true self. But in the mind that is in the world, appear to be in the world in a separate state, that we are what? Discipline and training. We are declaring a rest for that mind. Because just think about it. Who we really are, it doesn't need anything. Who we really are is in a place of timelessness and formlessness. But what we appear to be experiencing in a world of separation, in bodies, where the dream and fantasies and the illusions and the wild imaginings are occurring, we're calling that to rest. Yes, we are. We're bringing what? We're inviting the illusion to come to the truth, so that it may be healed. And not only for ourselves, but we're calling all humanity who appears to be what? In this state of clashing dreams and turmoil. And all the appearances of separation. We're calling all humanity into this place of rest today through the one mind that we share. We all have access to what? In the dream, the same ego mind, as well as we have what? Access to what? The mind of the spirit. The mind that is what? The mind that has been what? Healed through every thought of God. The mind that has been transformed by the renewing of itself through every thought of God. And so we ask for safety and for happiness, although we seem to look on danger and on sorrow. And we have the thought that will answer our asking with what we request. So as we have asked for these things, rest and quietness and peace and stillness and happiness and safety, we also have the answer. Because the answer is as simple as the idea is brought forth today. I rest in God. I rest in God. It's just a simple declaration. It's just a very simple reality that in reality, that's exactly what we do. We rest in God. We've ceased from our own works. We have what? We have been like the prodigal son, and we have come back home to the place of what? To the place of rest. So we're calling all the prodigals back, what? To the place of rest, back to the Father's house, where there's no turmoil, there's no clashing dreams, there's no fantasies, there's no vain imaginings, there's no illusions. It's only what? The presence of love. And in the presence of love, there is no clashing, there is no turmoil. There are no appearances. There are no opposites. Remember, we talked about that yesterday. Giving and receiving is what? One act in truth. And so this is a call for those that are what? Laden and heavy burdened by what? By the illusions of this world. To enter into what? God's rest. To enter back into, to come back home. We play this song on this in these lessons a lot. Gotta find my way back to you, Lord. Well, the way back to God is in a place of rest. The way back to yourself is a place of rest. It's a road it's a road of rest where we cease from our own thinking, cease from our own perceptions, cease from making or trying to make something that is not going to bring us rest or peace. But we embrace that which has already been created for us, and that is the rest that is really resides in us and as us. It's a part of our nature. And so I rest in God. It's a thought. It's a God idea. It's a God invitation. It's an invitation to love, to return to love. I rest in God, or I rest my case. I cease from my own works. It says, this thought, I rest in God, will bring to you the rest and quiet and peace and stillness and the safety and the happiness you seek. So when we rest in God, there is no longer we're no longer on a journey of searching. The search is over. We have found this place of rest. And within this place of rest, it is not only where the Creator abides, but it's where His creation abides. That's where we abide. That's the place that doesn't change. That's the place that's unalterable. That is the place of eternity. That is the place of infinity. That is the place of reality. That is the place where there's no birth, no death, only the creations of God. It's the place that merely is. It's what we call heaven, which is not really a place of like a physical place. It's not even a state, but it is a reality. It is an awareness. It is a consciousness that we share. It's a oneself that we share, that remains as it always has been. So this thought has power. I rest in God. This thought has power to wake the sleeping truth that is within all of us. It's where we come to the place where we say there must be a better place. There must be a better way. And we don't just conclude that, but we discover that better place, that better way. is a resting place in God or in love. It says, whose vision sees beyond appearances, to that same truth in everyone, in everything there is. So this resting place comes through a vision. A vision comes through what? Enlightenment. Enlightenment comes through what? Through a recognition. It's just that simple. It's the most natural thing that can happen to any human being, to enter into the rest of God, to enter into themselves, to enter into this reality of absolute oneness, this reality of absolute consciousness, that there is not separation. And separation doesn't exist, but the only thing that exists is this awareness or this consciousness of our oneness, the shared being that we are. And so with this vision, we're able to look past all the wranglings in the world, all the appearances in the world. We're able to look past all the chaos in the world, all the clash and dream, all the turmoil. We're able to look past that which does not exist. It says, here is the end of suffering for all the world, and everyone who ever came and yet will come to linger for a while in the dream. Here is the thought in which the Son of God, or God's only creation, is born again to recognize himself. So as we have shared many, many times, to awake to reality, to be enlightened from within the mind of God, is but a what? Recognition. Some way, somehow, we recognize through the light the reality of who we are and who our what Creator is, and what that means. So it comes through revelation, it comes through knowledge, it comes through the knowing. Grace and peace is multiplied through what? The knowledge, through the knowing, through the experience, through having this direct experience of into what? Our reality. I rest in God, completely undismayed. This thought will what? Carry you through storms and strife. So even as we what? Move in the world today and every day, the idea of resting in God has the power and ability to carry us through storms and strife, even past misery and pain, past loss and death, and onward to the certainty of God, or the certainty of love, or the certainty of our oneness, or the certainty of our sameness. This is the power that this idea, I rest in God, has. So in this moment, let's close our eyes. Let's see from the knowledge that we have, where we have entered into this union of rest, where we allowed our minds to be transformed, where we allowed our minds to be healed completely and totally based on the truth, knowing that there is no separation, knowing that there is no enmity, there is no condemnation, there is no judgment. These things don't exist within I rest in God, because they don't exist in Him and in God. So we pause, we close our eyes, we embrace the reality of God's nature of love, and we enter into that love nature, the nature of happiness. We enter into the happiness of God, the joy of the Lord. We enter in the allness of God. We enter in the omnipresence of God. We enter in. We move past our past. We move past the clouds, the seeming clouds of storms and strifes, and misery and pain and loss and death. We move past all of that to this place of certainty, to the reality of this certainty of I in God and God in us. We share this same peace, this same joy, this same happiness, this same place of safety. We share this place of stillness and peace and quietness. We called it what? Rest. We unclothe ourselves. We remove all the burdens and the heavy ladens that have been laid upon us, that we've laid upon ourselves through conditioning, through false information and false statements, through misrepresentation. We undo those things. We remove those things. So there is no burden. We're not laden, and there is no burden. Because we know what God's message is light. God's message is love. God's message is oneness and peace. So completely undismayed, this thought carries us again through storms and strife, past misery and pain, past loss and death, and onward to the certainty of God. There is no suffering it cannot heal. Love heals all things. God heals all things. There's no mind that it cannot transform. There is no problem that it cannot solve. And no appearances but will turn to truth before the eyes of you who rest in God. So it's a complete confidence, a complete certainty that God is, and there is nothing else. That love is, and that there is nothing else. And this is the place, this is the only place that one can reside, that one can rest. And so we enter into this, what we call our home, our resting place. And we rest in God. And so we call all humanity to rest in God, because this is our one shared happy home. So this is the day of peace. We rest in God. And while the world is torn by winds of hate, we rest. Our rest remains completely undisturbed. So there is no disturbance in the finished work of God. There is no disturbance. in this place of rest. It says, ours is the rest of truth. Appearances cannot intrude upon us. Ours is the rest of truth. Appearances cannot intrude in this place of rest. We call to all to join us in our rest. We call all humanity in this moment to enter into the rest of God. And they will hear and come to us because we rest in God. So whenever we rest in God, all humanity comes to rest in God. Why? There's only one of us. Remember, everyone else that's outside of the rest is dreaming. So in their dreams, they're not real. The reality is what? They are at home in God, resting. And so we call them what? Back into the rest. All humanity, we say, come ye who are dreaming of separation, and rest in your Creator, rest in your Father. There's nothing holding you back. That what you thought was holding you back has been removed. They will not hear another voice than ours because we gave our voice to God, and now we rest in Him and let Him speak through us. So in this moment, we call the world into a place of rest. The world needs to rest. The dream of separation, the fantasies, the illusions, they seek rest. We have prepared a place of rest. Come, you who are burdened and heavy laden, to the place prepared for you to rest. Mm-hmm. In this place of rest, we have no cares and no concerns, no burdens, no anxiety, no pain, no fear of future, and no past regrets. In timelessness, we rest. Time and space can't intrude into this resting place. While time goes by without its touch upon us, for our rest can never change in any way at all. We rest today. And as we close our eyes, we sink into this moment in stillness. Yes, that sweet stillness. Let these practice periods today, these periods of rest and reprieve, Let them reassure our mind that all its frantic fantasies were but the dreams of fever that has passed away. Remember, we're bringing that mind, an undisciplined mind, into this rest. And we remind the mind that all that it dreamed were just fantasies, illusions. All of the death threats, all of the death thoughts, all of the sickness threats, all of the sickness thoughts, all of the lack and scarcity threats, all of the lack and scarcity thoughts, all of the fearful thoughts. All of the horror and all of the terror, every dream, every illusion, every idea where there is no peace. We say, peace, be still, and enter into what? Enter into the rest. Where there's safety, there's stillness, there's quietness, there's peace, there's safety, and there is happiness. Mm. Mm. Let it be still and thankfully accept its healing. We're talking about our minds. We have invited our minds to be still and accept the healing. The healing is in the rest that the weary has been called to rest. Rest in this what? Reality of the oneness that we share. Wow. It is the mind that has gone astray out of a false belief. And now we remind the mind that it was only a dream. You can come on home. Be united. Be in harmony. Assume your what? Rightful place. There's nothing to fear. There's no terror. There's no appearances that can change your reality. No more fearful dreams will come now that we rest in God. So we're going to take time today to slip away from dreams and into peace. Each hour that we take our rest today, a tired mind is suddenly made glad. So all of this is for our minds, the renewing of our mind, being transformed. And in that rest today, a tired mind is suddenly made glad. The power of our rest has the ability for even a bird with broken wings to begin to fly or begin to sing. That a stream that has long been dry begins to flow again. The world is born again each time that what we enter the rest. And hourly remember that we came to bring the peace of God into this world. We are the light of the world. That is our function. That it might take its rest along with us. We invite the world to come to a place of rest. We become the what? Oasis for the world. Your life is the oasis for the world, for those around you. With each 5 minutes that we rest today, the world is nearer waking. And the time when rest will be the only thing there is come closer to all worn and tired minds, too weary now to go their way alone. And they will hear the bird begin to sing and see the stream begins to flow again, with hope reborn and energy restored to walk with lightened steps along the road that suddenly seems easy as they go. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. My message is light. My nature is an easy nature. Why? Because it's all love. So there is no burden in love. There is no darkness in light. So we rest within the peace of God today and call upon our brothers to do the same. And we call upon our brothers from our rest to draw them to their rest along with us. We are faithful to this calling today, forgetting no one, but bringing everyone into the boundless circle of our peace, the holy sanctuary where we rest. We call all humanity into this holy place, this place of wholeness and completeness. This is our what? This is our function as the light of the world. Love has what? Forgotten no one. So we don't engage in separation at any level anymore. It's all about the what? The one Father and the one Son that we all are. That is our reality. That's the vision that we have. That's the Christ vision. That's the reality. That is the healing place. That is the place of healing. That's the place of vision. When we accept this reality of the one shared self that we are, I keep saying it over and over and over and over and over again. I got 200 more plus days to say it. The one life that we share. This is the revelation. This is the mystery that was held back in time past, but now has been made revealed to us. Christ in, or Christ as us. The one Christ, the one self. That is the hope of glory. This is our glorious hope. This is our glorious expectation. This is what we've been dreaming of. This is what we've been hoping for. Now we realize that we are the very substance of that thing. We are the very evidence of what was not seen in the past. It's now seen. It's seen as us. That is the hope reborn. We will be faithful, forgetting no one. See, forgetting no one. Love has forgotten no one. This is all inclusive. You cannot operate in specialness and know yourself. You cannot operate in individuality and know yourself. You cannot hold grievances and resentments and know yourself. It's only one self, and it's the self that we all share. So as we give, we receive. And today we give what? We give the call for all humanity what? To enter into what? This place of rest and cease from your own works. That never will work. Open the temple doors. These are all what? Symbols, metaphors. Open the doors, the sanctuary, the place of rest. The whole idea is to what? Stimulate the mind, to get a picture, to get an image, to put down its what? Fear and be open to the love that's being presented to it. Open the temple doors and let all humanity come from far across the world and near as well. Our distant brothers and our closest friends, bid them all to enter here and rest with us. So this is a holy calling. This is a sacred calling. This is our priestly duty. Those of us that have awakened to the reality of who we are is that we create a space. We create this, we open up the space for all to enter in, to come out of darkness into the marvelous light. So it's not about just the one individual. It's about the one whole. And heaven remains unchanged. This place of rest is the place of that there is no change, there is no disturbance, there is no intrusion. It's a place of safety. It can't be intruded. So it has never been it has never been tainted. Separation never has happened. That is the atonement, the one meant. That is the concept of forgiveness. Nothing has happened. What we thought our brother did what he did not do. He was only dreaming, fantasizing, wild imaginings, illusions. So all of us are guiltless. All of us are innocent. So we live in this place of innocence, this place of equality. This is the place of rest. So we rest within this peace, the peace of God today, quiet and unafraid. Each of us come to take our rest and offer it. And we offer it. We don't just take it for ourselves, but we offer it to everyone. We rest together here, for thus our rest is made complete. And what we give today, we have received already. You can only give what you have received. And giving and receiving is what? Giving and receiving is what? This one same self act of love in truth. We learned this on yesterday. It says, so we give. It says, time is not the guardian of what we give today. We give to those unborn and those passed by, to every thought of God, and to the mind in which these thoughts were born, and where they rest. And we remind them of their resting place each time we tell ourselves, I rest in God. Wow. What a lesson. What an idea. I mean, even as I was sitting here sharing these ideas, these realities, I sensed, even in my own experience, that this resting place is where God is calling us. Love is calling us to. From this resting place is where we are to is where we are to abide, and where we are to where we are to shine our light within the world. From this resting place, from a place of complete certainty, a place of complete confidence, unafraid, not taken by surprise. This place where it cannot be intruded, where all the dreams and illusions and fantasies and wild imaginings, they have disappeared from our view, in the sense that we look past all the appearances and we see only what we see, only the rest of God. We see only the like he says, we see the what face of God in all humanity. And this is our part in God's plan for salvation. Like giving and receiving is the same. That we realize that when we awake to and we recognize the place that we really are, that all humanity wakes up. When you awake, everyone's awake. You realize that, but everyone doesn't realize that, but you do. So you come from this place of rest where you recognize that everyone's already saved. Everyone is already that everyone is already at home. Absolutely everyone is already at home in God. And that all have ventured out on a dream, on a voyage of nothingness, only to find what? Nothing. And all this happens within dreams. And so this life that we live on this bodily plane is just a dream. But within the dream, there's a place of rest. Even in the dream, there's a place of rest. And so today, we rest in God. We declare it. It is so. We call all humanity into this place of rest. We have prepared this place of rest. Thank you so much for being with me today. This is lesson 109. I rest in God. And on tomorrow, we will be looking at the final lesson in this series before we enter into another review period. So tomorrow, lesson 110. And then we'll start 10 days of reviewing the last 20 lessons. So we'll reinforce the things that we've learned for the last 20 days. With that said, have a great day. It is a great day to be in a place of rest. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.